taxation decisions that the government have made around inheritance tax, capital gains tax, corporation tax, where you've given away money. People know about the ageing population for some time. We've cut the criteria so people can't get community care. We treat our older people at the moment like dogs. It's a disgrace. This is what Jeremy was...
Have you ever walked into a high-pressure moment believing you were fully prepared, only to realize the challenge ahead is far tougher than expected? That's the situation that unfolded when Angela Rayner faced a relentless line of questioning from Andrew Neil about Labour's spending plans. As the discussion intensified, Neil pressed forward with firm figures and direct points, pushing the conversation into uncomfortable territory. Rayner began the interview confidently, determined to defend her party's economic strategy, but the tone quickly shifted as the pressure mounted. What started as a routine political appearance soon turned into a tense exchange that left many viewers questioning how clearly Labour's leadership can explain its economic direction. Known for his uncompromising style, Neil kept the focus sharp, while the discussion gradually slipped off track. By the end, the confidence seen at the start had faded, and a bigger question remained. How did an ordinary interview suddenly place Labour on the defensive and spark so much debate? Watch until the end to discover the moment that captured everyone's attention.
They raised the capital gains tax in the coalition government.
Well, what I'm saying, Andrew, and
what you're saying is wrong. They raised the capital gains tax to 28%.
What I'm saying is that they've given tax cuts to absolutely the richest in the country at the same time where they've told the poorest people in this country over the past, it is true, at the same time that you've told the people in this country over the last 6 years, we've got to cut our coffee. No, let me finish this point because you've interrupted me and I want to make this point. It's really serious to people in this country that you've told people we've got to live within our means. We've got to have this austerity. We've got to cut. You've cut. And do you know what? Debt's rising and the amount of money that's going into the economy, you know, you've not made it better. Our economy is worse as a result of 6 years of austerity. And now you're saying all of a sudden we can spend money.
No, hold on.
And that's wrong because you're spending it.
You're just off now.
No, I'm
let
not
me bring you back to let me bring you back to the question. Look, you think there may be an election coming up, so you need to get your policy.
At the beginning, the interview appeared to be moving comfortably in favor of Angela Rayner, who seemed composed and ready to outline both her personal views and the Labour Party position on key economic issues. Her posture was steady and her voice calm, projecting the confidence of someone prepared for a serious political discussion. But that sense of control didn't last long. The atmosphere shifted when Andrew Neil, known for his relentless interview style, began firing sharp, direct questions that quickly disrupted the calm. As the pressure increased, Rayner's early composure began to slip, especially when the focus turned to corporation tax, a moment that seemed to shake the confident tone she had carried into the conversation.
By changing the current corporation tax and capital gains tax structures.
Andrew, we've talked about in absolute detail about the current tax system, and we said actually that the money that the decisions that the government have made and the decisions on where they're spending current money is completely inappropriate.
So how much would you save?
You've cut 50%. In my constituency, both of my councils have seen over 50% cuts to their budget. So all of the people that need support are in acute services now, crippling our NHS.
So you would be able to give them more money by changing the corporation tax and changing the...
When the discussion shifted to corporation tax, Angela Rayner suddenly appeared caught off guard, revealing what looked like a noticeable gap in preparation. As Andrew Neil pressed for a clear explanation of the Labour Party position on possible corporation tax cuts, Rayner struggled to deliver a direct answer, offering instead a hesitant and unclear response. At one point she began, "I'm telling you, Andrew, that our priority is not," but the thought never fully developed into a firm policy explanation. For many viewers, the moment immediately raised eyebrows. If a senior figure in the party could not clearly outline the stance on such a crucial economic issue, it naturally led people to question how well the details of this key policy area were truly understood.
Would you reverse it?
Hold on. Inheritance tax.
Would you reverse them?
I think that at the moment, cutting at a time where we need those services and people need those services is the wrong decision to
But
make.
I'm asking you, would you reverse the cut in corporation tax?
But I'm telling you, Andrew, that our priority is
not telling me the question.
I am. I'm
answer.
saying that the cuts in corporation tax, the cuts in inheritance tax, the cuts in capital gains tax.
But what's the cut in capital gains tax?
But what's really important, Andrew...
No, excuse me.
Sensing uncertainty in her answers, Andrew Neil pushed the conversation even further, shifting the focus to capital gains tax and demanding clearer details. Under the mounting pressure, Angela Rayner appeared increasingly unsure, and then came a moment that left many economic observers stunned. She made a confident claim about conservative tax policies that was quickly shown to be incorrect. This wasn't a small slip. It was a serious factual mistake that weakened both her credibility and the economic message of the Labour Party. As the interview continued, Rayner attempted several times to redirect the discussion away from the toughest questions, but those efforts only made her struggle more visible, creating the impression that control of the conversation was slipping away. The confident deputy leader, who began the interview, now looked tense and defensive as Neil maintained his sharp, relentless questioning. What started as a chance to highlight Labour's economic vision quickly turned into an uncomfortable display of uncertainty on key policies, leaving many viewers questioning not only Rayner's readiness, but also whether the party itself was fully prepared to lead. In today's fast-moving media landscape, moments like this spread instantly, and social platforms quickly filled with criticism, as clips circulated and commentators labelled the exchange a damaging performance.
Said it couldn't be done, but Britain has agreed a free trade deal with Australia. The mob turns on BBC Newsnight, and good news, the jobs recovery gathers pace. Good evening, I'm Andrew Neil. We were told that they would take over 10 years to do. We were assured we didn't have the expertise to do them. Yet in very short order, every free trade deal we had via the European Union has been rolled over to be with the UK. In some cases, like Japan, improving them along the way. And now we've done an entirely new free trade deal with our friends.
After the interview, political commentators and journalists began questioning whether Angela Rayner is truly prepared for a leadership role, raising a direct concern. If straightforward economic questions create hesitation, how can she be trusted with the far more complex demands of governing? Critics noted that moments like this carry real political consequences. When economic policies are not explained with clarity and confidence, public trust can quickly erode. History has shown that communication missteps on financial issues can damage not only a politician's personal credibility, but also the broader reputation of the Labour Party they represent.
All this money from those women who were born in the 1950s is completely unacceptable, and millions of women have been plunged into poverty and don't just want handouts by Social Security. They want their money back, and quite rightly so. They should be feeling angry about what the government did, and we will right that injustice, because just
as Angela Rayner continued to struggle through the interview, the moment risked weakening the standing of the Labour Party with voters, leaving many to question whether this was the level of leadership they could rely on to guide the country's economy. The pressure intensified when Andrew Neil shifted the discussion to Labour's ambitious housing proposal promising 1.5 million new homes to tackle the UK housing shortage. At first the pledge sounded bold, but Neil's probing quickly exposed gaps in the explanation. Industry experts had already voiced doubts, pointing to difficult market conditions and practical barriers that could make such targets extremely challenging. Staying relentless, Neil pressed Rayner on these concerns, and the deeper the questions went, the more uncertainty began to show in her responses.
They stole their pension, that contract, that agreement that they thought they had, and then accelerated it so that those women didn't have the chance to prepare for that. We said we'll right that injustice, and within the 5 years of the Labour government, we will compensate them for the money that they've lost. This is their money that they've had stolen off them, and it's completely unacceptable. And any government should act responsibly.
Angela Rayner continued to insist that Labour's housing targets were non-negotiable, seemingly brushing past practical challenges like land shortages, infrastructure demands, and a lack of skilled workers. The pressure mounted when Andrew Neil brought immigration figures into the debate, revealing that under current trends, achieving Labour's promised 1.5 million homes would be mathematically impossible. Each pointed question only emphasized the gaps in her planning and exposed cracks in her grasp of the complexities involved.
Your average politician and my background, and people know that I'm from a very working class background. I am quite an interesting character to people in Parliament, so often I've always had that level of scrutiny. And as a woman as well, you feel like you have to prove yourself. You go in a room and they don't suddenly think, oh, well, you're a natural leader.
Right.
So therefore, coming from a working class background and being a woman, you kind of feel like, okay, I've got to earn the respect in the room, which is fine.
Andrew Neil continued pressing the point that without accounting for population growth, Labour's housing plan could never move beyond an ambitious idea. Once again, Angela Rayner struggled to reconcile these realities, offering vague and inconsistent answers about who the promised 1.5 million homes would actually serve. Her apparent misunderstanding of how immigration affects housing only deepened the disconnect, with responses sometimes contradicting her own party's data. The exchange exposed a fundamental flaw in Labour's approach: building more homes alone is not enough. Rayner's difficulty linking housing, infrastructure, and population growth highlighted a concerning lack of depth in the party's strategy. By the interview's end, viewers were left with contradictions and unanswered questions, prompting widespread doubt over Labour's ability to handle the UK's economic and social challenges. What's your take on Rayner's performance? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.